You, ladies and gentlemen, interfered with the United States of America 2020 presidential election, knowingly and willingly. That's the bad news. It's going to get worse because this is the investigation part. Later comes the arrest part.
You guys ready to take a trip down memory lane? Let's talk about what a great president Donald Trump was. And these are going to be the best clips of Donald Trump over the last 4, 5, 6 years that are going to break your heart. And then after we get into it a little bit, after I show you what a great, amazing man Trump was, these are all the clips that the media would want to hide from you and that they never want to see the light of day. We're going to cover these clips, and then I'm going to show you how brainwashed you were. And just a quick reminder, because they're trying to do the same thing right now with Ron DeSantis and Joe Biden. We already know that Donald Trump is the people's president. This man would sacrifice his life. He would give the shirt off his back for every one of us. And he's proven it time and time again. And now we have people at Fox News like Brian Kilmeade, possibly Sean Hannity, and all these other woke reporters working for the deep state trying to force feed you Ron DeSantis, and we're not buying it. Ron DeSantis needs to take a seat. He needs to play his role. And if he wants to try to compete in 2028, by all means, let him. But 2024 is going to be Trump's year, and we need to make that loud and clear. You're going to realize that you're getting played and you're getting brainwashed. And all they're trying to do with DeSantis is what they always do: divide us. We cannot let them divide us. Whether you like DeSantis or you like Trump, this is Trump's time. It was stolen from him in 2020. We all know it. We've seen the results of it. So we let the mainstream media play us and brainwash us. Never again can that happen. We need to stand united together and fight for Trump as hard as he's been fighting for every one of us. You want to be a forgotten American, or do you want to fight for Trump? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Ready? Let's dive deep.
Hi, Mr. Trump. I was Miss Wisconsin USA in 2005.
Okay.
And
I can see why.
thank you. You have been, I just want to say thank you. You saved me in so many ways. And in recent years, I've been struggling with an incurable illness, and I'm on home care now. It was caused by a doctor's medical negligence. And in those dark days, fighting, right now all the tubes have been removed, and I have a do not resuscitate order, and I have a 7-year-old son. And in those days, in the hospital, I received from you a handwritten letter that said, "To the bravest woman I know." And
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
you,
Such a wonderful, beautiful woman. I mean, just an amazing woman. And are you coming along okay?
no, sir, but that's okay, because I'm here right now to thank you in person, and that was my biggest dream. And I wanted to thank you because through you and your organizations, my son, who is Mexican American, 7 years old, through your organizations and just being able to stand on that stage with you back in 2005, the outpouring of love that came from that ultimately provided my son, when he graduates high school, with a full ride to college.
That's great. And you know what we'll do? We're going to watch him. You're going to watch him, Tana. Tana, watch him.
And,
We're going to be watching your boy, okay? But you're going to hopefully be around. You're not going to have anybody watching. You're going to hopefully be around. Those doctors are going to be so wrong.
and my
But
son,
we'll be helping you.
So we thank you. God bless you. And just, you know, he's a Mexican American. And you, because of your efforts, have sent him to college. And I've been writing letters to him for when I'm in heaven to tell him that what you've done for him, now he has a great responsibility to pay it forward, just as you have done for us. And I can't thank
That's
you.
so nice. Thank you, honey. Thank you. I'm sorry. I have to go down and say hello. Is that okay?
Thank you.
You know, if you've never seen this video before you watch it for the first time, you're probably saying, wow, how come I didn't see this at the time? Well, there's a reason. The mainstream media didn't want you to see it. They don't want you to see it even now. Donald Trump has been under attack ever since he ran for president in the 2016 race. And they tried to paint him out to be a horrific monster, person doesn't care, a callous person. But this woman, who was terminally ill, shows he's anything but that. Donald Trump had sent her a handwritten note. He had also done something important to her. Her Mexican American son, as she says 2 or 3 times, has a full ride to go to college. And this, she believes, will happen after she's gone. She has a terminal illness. She says she'll be looking down from heaven at her son. Incredible acts of kindness. And Donald Trump's reaction to it, well, you can see it when he embraces this woman, when he goes down to thank her for thanking him. This is truly touching. I don't know how anybody could watch this video and not get a little moist in the eyes. But this is a part of Donald Trump's personality, rarely seen because the left doesn't want you to see it.
So before we get into this next section, where we're going to talk about how the mainstream media tried to brainwash you into believing that Donald Trump was this racist, homophobe, bigot, let's take a quick trip down memory lane.
Go ahead.
I'm a 9/11 survivor, Iraq and Afghanistan veteran. I love the policy that you have for the military.
Thank you.
I wanted to know if Trump Towers would be part of that veteran job.
Are you talking about here?
Yes. It'd be
We are doing some of that actually already. We have it very much involved. Why? What are you looking for? What kind of a position? Come up here. Come here. You look so smart and good. Do you mind if I do a job interview right now? We need good people. How are you? So what's your experience in front of the world?
Well, I design, I do wreaths, I do all types of decorations.
And you like this building?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
So here's what I'm going to do. There's the man. Stand right over here.
Oh my God.
If we can make a good deal in the salary, she's going to probably have a job, okay?
Does that look racist to you? It gets a little better.
Good. Have a good time. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So nice. Really
Mr.
nice.
Trump? Mr. Trump?
Yes.
Mr.
Hi,
Trump, what we just witnessed here was pretty remarkable. I mean, this is a complete stranger who just came up and you offered her a job. What inside your gut gave you the feeling that
I
you could
felt
give
good
her a job?
about her. I tell you what, I looked at her. I said, I have gut instinct, okay? And we're allowed to have that. And I looked at her and she asked a question and it was a very positive question. She looks like she's got a great look and look at that with the tears. How nice. She just seemed like a good person to me. Just seemed like a good person to me. Now, maybe she won't qualify because you have to qualify for, but I think she will. I think she, to me, looked like a good person. I have instincts about people. For instance, I had an instinct about you originally, that you're a very fine reporter, and I was right, okay? No, she made an immediate impression. And while I agree it's a big audience, she's going to become a superstar. Tomorrow she'll move out to Hollywood. Look at her. Don't leave me. Okay, go ahead.
Now, let's just put things into context. You remember the whole story with Kanye? Do you remember how Kanye was supposed to be crazy, this crazy man? So what would happen if somebody were to separate you from your kids and then tell you that you were never going to see your kids again unless you were to play ball, and if you didn't, they were going to take you to the hospital, they were going to strap you down to a bed, they were going to inject you with a bunch of drugs until your brain was jello. Do you guys remember when they did that to this man?
Honestly, from our standpoint, this was just set up to be a lunch of two people that I like. and I guess they like me. And we're gonna have lunch. We're gonna talk.
You said, I guess you know I love you.
I know.
Did I?
But I don't want to put you in that spot. But
No, I'm standing in that spot. I love this guy right here. Let me give this guy a hug right here. I love this guy right here.
that's really nice. Come here.
Yeah.
That's really nice. And that's from the heart. I didn't want to put you in that position, but that's from the heart. Special guy. These two are special people.
Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Kanye really went off the deep end, but you got to think about that, right? They separated him from Kim, and then after him and Kim separated, Kim was going behind his back or doing her own thing, but purposely publicizing her actions so that Kanye would freak out, right? They were trying to set Kanye up, and Kanye ended up leaving the country. And when he was gone, he was getting text messages by the deep state that was saying this.
Kanye says, what should be obvious by now is that I was raised to stand for my truth regardless of the consequences. So I will say this again, I was mentally misdiagnosed and nearly drugged out of my mind to make me a manageable, well-behaved celebrity. Here's a text he posted from someone named Harley that says, I'm going to help you one of a couple ways. First, you and I sit down and have an loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words, and everything that is discussed is based in fact, and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. Second option, I have you institutionalized again where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land forever. Play date with the kids just won't be the same.
Wow. That's evil.
That's insane, man. That's scary stuff.
It's also blackmail, I think. I don't know who this person is, what kind of power they have.
So now that we actually understand how dark the deep state really is and how deep they are intertwined into everything from the FBI, the CIA, the DOJ, to people working at Twitter, into the news and media outlets, I mean, everywhere. So knowing what we know now and seeing how corrupt the system is, do you really think Kanye is that crazy? Imagine if the deep state would have did that to your family, separated you from your wife and kids, and then had your wife hooking up with some random dude and posting about it all over social media, and then your wife was having her new boyfriend text you and talk shit, and then at the same time, you had somebody else saying that if you didn't play ball, that they were going to drug you into La La Land so that play dates with your kids will never be the same. You guys really think Kanye is that crazy? Or what? How would you be acting? Would you be acting sane if that happened to you? So if they could do that to Kanye, and they can do that to Trump, and they can do that to members of Congress, what does that say about us? Where are our freedoms? Now you see why the deep state's trying so hard to stop Trump. And that's why we need to try even harder to fight for Trump, because that's exactly what he's doing for us.
Hello?
Holy Christ, what do I get to...
Hi, Jay. You look
Hey.
handsome to me. I just saw a picture of you.
No, you're giving me kind honors. I look like...
How are you doing? How's it going, Jay?
It's going, you know what I mean? I'm,
You're a champ. You're gonna
That's-
fight it, right? You just fighting it?
it's what the Irish do, right?
Yeah, that's what the Irish do. You better believe it.
Yeah.
You look good. I wish you could come to a rally. I wish you could come. I know you like that stuff, but I wish you could.
Well, listen, hey,
It sounds like you have a great sister, Jay.
well, you know, like we have sibling rivalries, fights, you know, whatever it is. But hey, listen, if you could pencil me in, I'll find a way to get there.
That's. I'll tell you what. When I'm up around that territory, and I know where you live, I know it well.
Yeah.
I'm up around that territory where you'll be sitting front row center, Jay.
All right, well, I plan on coming down to D.C. between now and my expiration date, so whatever. Either way.
You don't even talk about expiration date.
Oh no, I'm not. No.
You'll be surprised. You know, I know my people. You're gonna be surprised. I just sent you a little note too. I wrote out a little note. So I guess we sent it to your sister or whatever, but you'll get that. But I read a beautiful story about you, and I just said I want to call that man. That's my kind of guy.
Yeah, Mr. President, I through thick and thin, you know, there's been a lot of thicks.
Right.
And there's been a lot of thins. I support you.
Wow, that's beautiful, man. We love you, Jay. We love you, man, and that's really beautiful. What you just said is, I won't forget it. I won't forget it. And what we'll do is, you just hang tough. A lot of good things are happening too. Don't kid yourself. A lot of good things are happening in terms of the medical stuff.
Yeah.
So you just hang tough. You're gonna surprise. We'll be talking in 10 years from now. I hope too.
Oh, like I said, you know, I plan on voting for you in 2020, so.
You better vote for me in 220, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
If you don't vote for me, I'm going to be upset with you.
No, I'll make sure I do that, you know? God permitting.
We'll be in touch. We're sending you a little note, but we'll be in touch.
Okay.
And thank you, sister. And if
I
we
will.
do anything up there, I want to get you over there. I'll get you up to that rally. I'll have you right in the center, right smack in the middle. You're my kind of guy. You're my kind of man, Jay.
Yeah. I try to be.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you. And say hello to your family and sister and everybody. And I'll talk to you again, Jay, okay?
All right, thank you very much.
You keep that fight going. We both fight, okay? You keep that going, okay?
I will do my end. Thank you for calling and
It's an honor.
thank you. No, it's an honor for me too as well.
Thanks, Jay.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's pretty crazy. Dude, I just talked to the President of the United States on the phone.
I mean, if these videos don't just choke you up, what a great man this guy is. And now looking back, right, I wasn't a pro-Trumper. I didn't follow politics. So I never saw any of these videos. All I saw was the blatant lies and the brainwashing and the lies and the manipulation and the bad Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad, orange guy, orange bad, Trump bad, Trump did this, Russian collusion, Russian hoax, this and that. That's all I heard. What really opened my eyes was that when the FTX thing started to go down and everything started to collapse, and then I started looking into Trump, and then I started watching Fox News, and I started watching MSNBC, and I was like, whoa, everybody in the world's gonna see this. This is so obvious that this media organization is covering for him, and this one is trying to expose him. That made me think. So I started to go back and to watch Trump content. So I got on YouTube, and I searched Trump's greatest speeches. I found this one at Davos, at the World Economic Forum, and I went to play it, and guess what? Before I could watch that video, I had to watch a 30-second ad that I could not skip of Hillary Clinton reminding me what a horrible president Donald Trump was. So in order to watch a video of the greatest president of all time, I had to sit through a 30-second video telling me what a horrible president Donald Trump was. And now you see why Google, Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter are all being pulled in and subpoenaed to go and testify in front of Congress. Imagine the weight that could have and the effects that can have on an election. When you're trying to look up videos or you're trying to educate yourself about a presidential candidate and you're being forced to watch an ad telling you what a bad person that man is. And this is allowed in the United States. Can anybody not see the problem here? Unreal, isn't it?
The mainstream media cuts President Trump very little slack and goes out of their way to cover up his many accomplishments since he's been in office. But it goes back much further than that. For decades, Donald Trump has been quietly helping Americans from all backgrounds without any praise or credit from the media. As it turns out, the businessman turned president has a long history of random acts of kindness. For example, the president is a champion of women's rights, and going all the way back to 1980, Trump hired Barbara Rez to be the head of construction for his organization. She was just one of many women Trump promoted into prominent positions in construction at a time when the industry was dominated by men, with Trump even saying that a good woman is better than 10 good men. As a result, Barbara says she may have been the first woman in U.S. history to build a skyscraper. A few years later, in 1988, a Jewish family were desperate to find help for their critically ill son, who was just 3 years old and needed a flight from Los Angeles to New York for emergency treatment. But all the commercial airlines refused to fly their son because he needed to travel with several large pieces of medical equipment. Running out of hope, the family reached out to Donald Trump, who they said didn't even hesitate and agreed to have his private jet fly the family and their sick son to New York for treatment. The boy's father said, quote, "Donald Trump is a miracle, just a miracle." In 1991, witnesses say that while Trump was riding in his limo, he spotted a man being brutally attacked by a mugger with a baseball bat. Trump ordered the limo to pull over and jumped out of the car, shouting at the man to drop the bat, who, according to witnesses, then fled the scene. In 2008, singer and actress Jennifer Hudson's mother, brother, and nephew were all murdered at their home in Chicago. In another unexpected gesture of kindness, Trump reached out to the grief-stricken Hudson and offered to house her and her relatives at Trump Tower in Chicago for free. At the time, People magazine praised Trump for his, quote, heart of gold, with Trump saying he just wanted to help protect her and her family. A few years later, in 2013, bus driver Darnell Barton stopped to help a woman who he thought looked like she was about ready to jump off a bridge. Donald Trump heard about the story and sent Barton a $10,000 check for his good deed, saying, quote, your quick thinking resulted in a life being saved, and for that, you should be rewarded. The next year, in 2014, U.S. Marine Corps Sergeant Andrew Tamorisi was arrested in Mexico and held for 7 months after he accidentally brought firearms across the border. Trump followed the case, and when Andrew was finally released and returned to the United States, Trump reached out and sent him a check for $25,000, thanking him for his service and bravery. But that's not the first or last time Donald Trump stood up to help America's veterans. In 2015, then presidential hopeful Trump stepped in to help Army veteran Todd Landon, who was critically wounded in an IED attack in Iraq back in 2006. Trump was holding a rally in Iowa and came down off the stage to speak with Landon, who told him about all the problems he was having getting proper care with the VA, which he said was rife with problems. Trump vowed to help Landon out, intervened with the VA on his behalf, and the very next day, Landon said the VA contacted him and shortly after approved compensation payments for his injuries. Trump took it a step further after he was elected president, and reversing nearly a decade of neglect from Obama, Trump forgave the student debts of nearly 50,000 permanently disabled veterans. In 2017, President Trump heard that the family of Army Corporal Dylan Baldridge was struggling after their son was killed in Afghanistan. Vowing his support for the family, President Trump personally sent them a check for $25,000 and instructed his staff to create an online fundraising page to help the family out. These are the stories the mainstream media doesn't want you to know about. And they're just a few of the many examples over the years of when President Trump took a stand and helped people who, in many cases, had nowhere else to turn. No one expected Trump to help. It's not mentioned in any of his campaign promotions, and he never makes any big speeches about it. He just did the right thing because no one else would, and it needed to be done. For One American News, I'm Pearson Sharp.
Sorry, guys. I know this is, again, where I need your help. Like, we have to come together. I need your help. I need those likes so bad because the algorithm is going to do everything in their power to prevent more people from seeing this video because they never want the rest of America to see these clips. They don't want us all united. They don't want us all coming together. And again, I can't stress this enough. This is exactly what they are doing with Ron DeSantis. They are trying to force Ron DeSantis down your throat because they know that that can divide us. They've already seen it in the polls. He gets a little bit of attraction and he gets a little bit of attention, and then it's there, just jamming it down your throat. Even the Democrats are trying to force DeSantis down your throat. Even George Soros is backing Ron DeSantis now. That is the military-industrial complex. These are these warmongers, and just like they brainwashed you into hating Donald Trump before, they're trying to brainwash you into loving Ron DeSantis because Ron DeSantis is in their pocket. He plays ball. He's that type of guy. He supports the military-industrial complex. He supported sending more soldiers. He actually sent the Florida National Guard over to, Ukraine. So Ron DeSantis sent the Florida National Guard over to Ukraine. And if you guys didn't hear about how he was torturing people at Guantanamo Bay, those videos are on my Rumble. So if you guys are not following Laura Loomer, you should. Because if you want to learn exactly what type of person Ron DeSantis is, just follow Laura Loomer on Twitter. She has the receipts. I don't want to say everything, but a large majority of what that girl says is Johnny on the spot. People might laugh at her, people might mock her, but she's been right about a lot. And if we would have listened to her in 2017 when she was warning us about exactly what was going to happen in 2020, she was warning us exactly what Jack Dorsey and Twitter were doing.
Seat, or we'll have to have you. Then you'll need to relieve.
Donald Trump, help us. Please help us, Mr. President, before it is too late, because Jack Dorsey is trying to influence the election, to sway the election.
What'd she say? I can't understand her. What?
Steal the election. That is why
What's
you're
he-
censoring and shadow banning.
How about it then? 12 and a half, 15, 7 and a half, $20, 2 and a half, 5, 7 and a half, 30. Hit $30 down here, 2 and a half, 5, 35, 7 and a half, 40. Hit $40, 2 and a half, 5, 45, 7 and a half, 50. Hit $50 down here, 2 and a half,
Officer,
5,
will you
55,
escort
55,
this
7
young lady out, please?
Hit 2 and a half now, 5, 65, 7 and a half, 70. Up 2 and a half now, 5, 75, 7 and a half, $80 to 5, 85, 90. Hit $100 and a 10, 10, 10 and a quarter, 1 and a quarter, 1 and a half, 2, 2, 2 and a quarter. Hit 2 and a half, 3, able to bomb 300. Hit 3.
Who's that right there in front of Laura? Who's their front row with that shit-eating grin on his face? Yoel Roth, the head of trust and safety at Twitter, when Laura Loomer was right there calling out Jack Dorsey. Why isn't Jack Dorsey in handcuffs? He straight up lied to Congress. He lied about everything. Why is he not being interrogated? Where are you at, Jim Jordan? Where are you at, Matt Gaetz? Why isn't Jack Dorsey back on the stand at Twitter? Instead, you're going to bring up Parker Cunningham, the FBI agent, or whose boss got suspended because he was sleeping with coworkers in government vehicles or quite possibly on government planes.
Participating in the investigations of myriad criminal cases. The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas high school shooting in Parkland, Florida. The 2017 Fort Lauderdale airport shooting. The Caesar Sayoc pipe bomb case. Multi-million-dollar Ponzi schemes. Crimes on the high seas, bank robberies, murders for hire, sexual assaults, extortions, and more. Yes, it was physically taxing and emotionally jarring. But I believed I was making an impactful difference. And every day I woke up and I embraced being an FBI special agent until things changed. Over the course of my 12 plus years, the FBI's trajectory has transformed. On Bureau, the Bureau's mission remained the same, but its priorities and governing principles shifted dramatically. The FBI became politically weaponized, starting from the top in Washington and trickling down to the field offices.
But you all want to call Laura crazy, huh? This is what we're up against, folks. This is the deep state. This is as deep as it gets. That's the people's president right there, boys and girls. Now let's talk about the military-industrial complex and why Trump has to be eliminated, because he's cutting into their warmongering profits. Their NATO, their Green New Deal, their globalist, their global warming, their climate change. Trump was, nah, none of that doesn't make sense. Because why? The science doesn't make sense. And remember, we're told you gotta trust the science. We trust the science.
Also is helpful dealing with Russia, and we look forward to the meeting we're going to have with President Putin, and I think that leaders are also looking forward to your thoughts about the meeting with President Putin later on.
Well, I have to say, I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries, and then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas. So you tell me, is that appropriate? I mean, I've been complaining about this from the time I got in. It should have never been allowed to have happened. But Germany is totally controlled by Russia because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO, and I don't think it should have happened. And I think we have to talk to Germany about it. On top of that, Germany is just paying a little bit over 1%, whereas the United States, in actual numbers, is paying 4.2% of a much larger GDP. So I think that's inappropriate also. You know, we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting everybody, and yet we're paying a lot of money to protect. Now, this has been going on for decades. This has been brought up by other presidents, but other presidents never did anything about it because I don't think they understood it or they just didn't want to get involved. But I have to bring it up because I think it's very unfair to our country. It's very unfair to our taxpayer. And I think that these countries have to step it up, not over a 10-year period. They have to step it up immediately. Germany is a rich country. They talk about they're going to increase it a tiny bit by 2030. Well, they could increase it immediately tomorrow and have no problem. I don't think it's fair to the United States. So we're going to have to do something because we're not going to put up with it. We can't put up with it, and it's inappropriate. So we have to talk about the billions and billions of dollars that's being paid to the country that we're supposed to be protecting you against. You know, everybody's talking about it all over the world. They'll say, well, wait a minute, we're supposed to be protecting you from Russia, but why are you paying billions of dollars to Russia for energy? Why are countries in NATO, namely Germany, having a large percentage of their energy needs paid, you know, to Russia and taken care of by Russia? Now, if you look at it, Germany is a captive of Russia because they got rid of their coal plants, they got rid of their nuclear. They're getting so much of the oil and gas from Russia. I think it's something that NATO has to look at. I think it's very inappropriate. You and I agree that it's inappropriate. I don't know what you can do about it now, but it certainly doesn't seem to make sense that they pay billions of dollars to Russia, and now we have to defend them against Russia.
You know, NATO is an alliance of 29 nations, and there are sometimes differences and different views and also some disagreements. And the gas pipeline from Russia to Germany is one issue where allies disagree. But the strength of NATO is that despite these differences, we have always been able to unite around our core task to protect and defend each other, because we understand that we are stronger together than apart. I think that 2 world wars and the Cold War taught us that we are stronger together than apart.
But how can you be together when a country is getting its energy from the person you want protection against or from the group that you want protection?
Because we understand that when we stand together, also when dealing with Russia, we are stronger. I think what we have seen is that...
No, you're just making Russia richer.
Well,
you're not dealing with Russia, you're making Russia richer.
So I think that even during the Cold War, NATO allies were trading with Russia. Then there have been disagreements about what kind of trade arrangements we should go into.
I think trade is wonderful. I think energy is a whole different story. I think energy is a much different story than normal trade. And you have a country like Poland that won't accept the gas. You take a look at some of the countries, they won't accept it because they don't want to be captive to Russia. But Germany, as far as I'm concerned, is captive to Russia because it's getting so much of its energy from Russia. So we're supposed to protect Germany, but they're getting their energy from Russia. Explain that. And it can't be explained, you know that.
All right, thank you, press.
It's exactly what happened in 2020. And look at what's going to happen in 2024, because nothing has changed. So if we don't start coming together as a country and saying that we're not going to put up with another 2022, let alone another 2024. We have to make this loud. We have to be very, very loud about it. We have to make sure that we do everything we can to fight for Trump because he needs us, guys. This man needs us more than you could ever imagine. The days of us just sitting around and not taking action are gone. Everybody needs to be loud. You guys need to be resharing. You need to be tweeting. You need to be, like I said, take those screenshots, record those clips, go on YouTube. There's a clip button. Cut these clips out, guys. Share this everywhere you can. Let's let the world know that we're not buying into their deep state fake outs anymore. You guys can't buy us off. You can't brainwash us. You can't lie to us. This is the man that the entire world is going to see. This is the man that the entire world's going to fight for. I'm fighting for him. I know you guys are watching this video, so I know you're supporting the channel. So let's go. Let's rack up those likes. Let's share this video everywhere. Reddits, Discords, Telegrams, Twitters. And let's get this man back in office. Love you guys. Before Biden sends us into World War III. It's exactly what this dude wants.
If I could distill it down into one concept that we are pursuing in New Zealand, it is simple and it is this: kindness.
America is governed by Americans. We reject the ideology of globalism and we embrace the doctrine of patriotism.
In the face of isolationism, protectionism, racism, the simple concept of looking outwardly and beyond ourselves, of kindness and collectivism, might just be as good a starting point as any. So let's start here, with the institutions that have served us well in times of need and will do so again.
We withdrew from the Human Rights Council, and we will not return until real reform is enacted. For similar reasons, the United States will provide no support and recognition to the International Criminal Court. As far as America is concerned, the ICC has no jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority.
New Zealand remains committed to continue to do our part to building and sustaining international peace and security, to promoting and defending an open, inclusive, and rules-based international order based on universal values, to being pragmatic, empathetic, strong, and kind.
The United States is the world's largest giver in the world by far of foreign aid, but few give anything to us.
Tēnā koutou.
Thank you, God bless you,
Tēnā koutou.
and God
Tēnā
bless
tātou katoa.
the nations of the world.
That was New Zealand. You guys remember what happened in New Zealand? What was the #1 vaxxed country in the world? Who was a complete totalitarian dictatorship? Who took away all of her people's freedoms? Who's part of the World Economic Forum? Who's the globalist? Not Trump. So everything that they tell you bad about Trump, imagine that's exactly what they're doing. And that's pretty much how it's played out. Every time they try to make us hate Trump, or they tell us Trump did something wrong, they were actually doing it. And they were actually doing it 10 times worse. They told us with Trump there was Russian collusion. There was no Russian collusion. There was China collusion with Joe Biden, period. They said that the 2020 was legit. It wasn't legit. They said that Biden got 81 million votes. Okay. There are mountains of evidence that say opposite. Otherwise, mountains. And these clowns want to do it to us again, guys. That's why we're coming together. That's why you guys are smashing that like button. That's why we're sticking it to the deep state. Should be my new, I'm gonna get that tattooed on my forehead.
Okay, question? Yeah, go ahead. Sure. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
She's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay, I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You've called it good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Got him! Got him!
Secretary Clinton.
We give state dinners to the heads of China. I say, why are you doing state dinners for them? They're ripping us left and right. Just take them to McDonald's and go back to the negotiating table. Seriously. It's true.
Thank you. Okay.
I want to get paid the same as a man, and I think you understand that. So, if you become president, will a woman make the same as a man, and do I get to choose what I do with my body?
You're going to make the same if you do as good a job. You're going to make the same if you do as good a job. You know, last night, I called Hillary a nasty woman. But this stuff is all relative. After listening to Hillary rattle on and on and on, I don't think so badly of Rosie O'Donnell anymore. In fact, I'm actually starting to like Rosie a lot.
Do you expect Matt Whitaker to be involved in the Russia probe? Do you want him to...
It's up to him.
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
Mr. President, since you attacked CNN, can I ask you a question?
John Roberts, go ahead,
Can I
John.
ask you a question?
No. John Roberts, go ahead. CNN's fake news. I don't take questions. I don't take questions from CNN. CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN. John Roberts of Fox. Let's go to a real network.
Your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
That's true. But they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors.
They're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of
You know
miles
what?
away.
I
That's
think
not an
you
invasion.
should, honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings
Let
would
me
be
ask,
much better.
if I may ask one other question, Mr. President. If I may ask
Peter,
one other
go ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one other.
We are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country. America was founded on liberty and independence,
and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free. It's great to be here with 1,000 wonderful people, or as I call it, a small, intimate dinner with some friends. Or as Hillary calls it, her largest crowd of the season.
His visceral response to attack people on their appearance, short, tall, fat, ugly. My goodness, that happened in junior high. Are we not way above that? Would we not all be worried to have someone like that in charge of the nuclear arsenal?
Mr. Trump. I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there. That I can tell you.
But Jake, why is this such a big topic for you right now?
Well, immigration's a very big topic. Take a look at all the crime that's being committed. Go take a look at it.
The research says the crime does not match what you're saying. The research, the Pew research, which is independent, says.
Don't be naive. You're a very naive person.
The Pew research says that there are for immigrants on the whole
Come on, try getting it out. Try getting it out.
I'll get it out.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to put this on television, but you don't even know what you're talking about. Try getting it out. Go ahead. I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter.
Well, I'm not a big fan of yours either, so
I understand.
To be honest,
He's woefully unprepared to do this job.
What say you?
I think he's the worst president maybe in the history of our country. I think he's been a disaster. He's been weak. He's been ineffective. I know Hillary met my campaign manager, and I got the chance to meet the people who are working so hard to get her elected. There they are, the heads of NBC, CNN, CBS, ABC. There's the New York Times right over there, and the Washington Post. They're working overtime. True.
Mr. President, you repeatedly, over the course of the...
just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Since you're attacking us, can you give us a question? Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are attacking our news organization.
Your organization.
Can you give us a chance to ask a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can you state,
Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state categorically,
She's asking a question. Don't
Mr.
be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you give us a question?
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you...
But one of the things I noticed tonight, and I've known Hillary for a long time, is this is the first time ever, that Hillary is sitting down and speaking to major corporate leaders and not getting paid for it.
Why not sign the other bills, though, so some of these workers can get paid, the government
You
get
think
more?
I should do that?
Yeah,
Do you think I should do that, John?
Well, I mean, it's not for me to
I
say
watch
that.
your one-sided reporting. Do you think I should do that?
Hey,
John.
it's
no,
not
seriously,
my
John. Do you think I should just sign?
Well, the argument has been made that you
me.
can sign these bills that have nothing to do with
John,
border
do you
security.
think I should just sign?
I'm saying that if you sign that, these workers can start getting paid. The government can
So
start
you would
working.
do that if you were in my position? You'd do that?
I'm not in your position. I'm asking you if that's something you will do.
I'm asking you, would you do that if you were in my position? If you would do that, you should never be in this position. Because you'd never get anything done. Virtually everywhere socialism or communism has been tried, it has produced suffering, corruption, and decay. Socialism's thirst for power leads to expansion, incursion, and oppression. All nations of the world should resist socialism and the misery that it brings to everyone.
Mr. Trump, take 30 seconds.
Let me just, he wants to be a tough guy. A lot of times, you'll have, and it doesn't work very well with
How tough is it to take
times,
property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk quiet.
How tough
a lot
is
of
it?
times, that's all of his donors and special interests out there. So, that's what it is. We reject oppressive speech codes, censorship, political correctness, and every other attempt by the hard left to stop people from challenging ridiculous and dangerous ideas. These ideas are dangerous. Instead, we believe in free speech, including online and including on campus.
Damn, that shit feel good.
And this is why they want to destroy Trump, because he's never going to forget about you. He's never going to leave you behind. He's never going to turn a blind eye. He's going to do what's right. He's going to put the American people first, and not just the American people, the American military, the brave men and women who sacrificed their lives so that you and I can have these opportunities and this freedom. And this is the country that we want our children to grow up in. Not in China, not in a country that's controlled by one of these totalitarian dictators who doesn't agree that you and I have bodily autonomy and that we can choose what we jab into our arms and what we do not jab into our arm. We're never going to forget what these people did to us, ever. Ever. We're just going to keep sticking it to them. Just one day after another, just jab, jab, right hook. Oh, that's a left hook. Jab, jab, right hook. Jab, jab, right hook. Wah, 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 wah. Check this out.
Well, first of all, at ease. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. The other reason I'm here today is to personally thank you and every service member throughout this region for the near elimination of the ISIS territorial caliphate in Iraq and in Syria. 2 years ago, when I became president, they were a very dominant group. They were very dominant. Today, they're not so dominant anymore. America shouldn't be doing the fighting for every nation on earth, not being reimbursed in many cases at all. If they want us to do the fighting, they also have to pay a price. And sometimes that's also a monetary price. So we're not the suckers of the world. We're no longer the suckers, folks. And people aren't looking at us as suckers. And I love you, folks, because most of you are nodding your head this way. We're respected again as a nation. We're respected again. Some people say, well, maybe somebody comes from the area and they hit us on our homeland. If that happens, they will suffer consequences over here like nobody has ever suffered before. Let me just tell you, and I hope they hear that loud and clear. And that's not a threat, that's going to be a fact. If anything should happen at all, nobody will ever have suffered the consequences that they will suffer. Just remember I said it. African American communities have suffered under Democratic control. To those I say the following: what do you have to lose? The people, my people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
Because he'd rather have a puppet as president of the United States.
No puppet.
And it's clear you won't admit
No, you're
that the
puppet.
Russian...
We're going to build the wall. Mexico's going to pay for the wall. We're going to stop drugs from coming in. To all Republicans and Democrats and independents across this nation, I say it is time for us to come together as one united people. It's time. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
But you have no choice but to vote for me because your 401ks, down the tubes, everything's going to be down the tubes. So whether you love me or hate me, you got to vote for me. I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. Swami Vivekananda, Sachin Tendulkar to Virat Kohli. My leadership, America's policy is unambiguous to terrorists who harm or intend to harm any American. We will find you, we will eliminate you.
The special counsel confirmed with the 2016 presidential election, but did not find that the Trump campaign or other Americans colluded in those efforts.
No collusion, no collusion. There's been absolutely no collusion.
So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations.
The committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
Yeah. And
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. But this is what the end result is. North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. When I did it, and I was really being tough, and so was he, and we would go back and forth, and then we fell in love, okay? No, really. He wrote me beautiful letters, and they're great letters. We fell in love. Today we officially opened the United States Embassy in Jerusalem. For our country and for our children, the best is yet to come. Thank you and farewell. You want? You know, a great, great couple, Barbara and you, Roan. Do you know about their son, Riley Roan? Where are they? Are they around here someplace? Where are they? Come up here if you can. Do you mind? Do you mind? Come up. Tell the Secret Service, believe me, they're okay to come up, right? That would be the surprise of all time. These are incredible people. Their son recently passed away in a horrible accident. He was the biggest supporter I had. Young guy, beautiful guy, the most popular person there was. And he was just very special. And I want to introduce, and if you'd like to say a few words, Riley. Riley was their son. As much as some of you like Trump, I like you more than you like me, if you want to know the truth. This boy was our biggest fan. He loved our country. Believe me, he loved our country. Say a few words about our boy, okay? They know him.
This is for my son, Riley. We are from South Amboy, New Jersey, a very small Democratic town. We are registered independents. We vote for the person, not the party. My son, Riley, was killed Memorial Day weekend coming home from the Jersey Shore on the Garden State Parkway. My son was a late-in-life menopause baby, a gift from God. He was only 19 years old and my only son. I have 3 wonderful daughters. Riley loved Mr. Trump. He was obsessed with Mr. Trump. 2017, Riley said, Mr. Trump is the nominee. When there's one nominee, Mr. Trump, Riley said, Mr. Trump will be president. In Riley's obituary, Mr. Trump was mentioned because Riley loved or loves Mr. Trump. Riley's funeral was over 200 cars. He has very dedicated friends. There were signs, buttons, flags for Mr. Trump. Riley's grave marker has Mr. Trump's name on it along with the Statue of Liberty because he loves America. Richie Schneiderite, a very good friend of my son's, wrote Mr. Trump a letter expressing all about my son and asked Mr. Trump if he could just mention my son Riley on the campaign trail because it would mean so much to my son. When Mr. Trump received the letter, he tweeted, "God bless Riley Roan," and a motorcycle. Motorcycle group put on Facebook they were donating a brick with Riley's name on it for the wall. When Mr. Trump received the letter, he wrote us a very heart-moving personal letter regarding family and Riley. We never expected to hear from Mr. Trump. We don't know Mr. Trump. He doesn't know us from Adam. He does now. Within weeks of the letter, we received a phone call from his office asking would we take a phone call from Mr. Trump. We were watching Fox News, and Mr. Trump was in Florida. He was sweating profusely in an airport hangar, complaining of 114-degree weather. We watched him leave the stage, and within minutes, our phone rang. It was Mr. Trump. He's amazing. He spent a good amount of time on the phone with us, and it was very personal. I'm not going to share what we said, but I will share. Mr. Trump said if it cost millions, and he would give everything he owned if it would bring my Riley back. What kind of man is this? What kind of man who is running for the highest office in our land, the President of the United States, takes out the time from his campaign to call us? God does bless us. Now, all you mothers out there, I want you to put yourself in my shoes for 1 minute. And you fathers too. I want you to please, please, please vote for Mr. Donald Trump in my son's honor. Please.
She does a good job, doesn't she?
Riley!
Go right over there.
Do you think Trump was just trying to do that to get your vote? No, that's not that man. This is him after he was already elected.
This year, America will recognize two important anniversaries that show us the majesty of America's mission and the power of American pride. In June, we mark 75 years since the start of what General Dwight D. Eisenhower called the Great Crusade, the Allied liberation of Europe in World War II. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, 15,000 young American men jumped from the sky and 60,000 more stormed in from the sea to save our civilization from tyranny. Here with us tonight are three of those incredible heroes. Private First Class Joseph Riley, Staff Sergeant Irving Locker, and Sergeant Herman Zaitchik. Please. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Mr. President.
How are you? How are you? We have a good cameraman over here. So everybody, enjoy your meal, and we're going to get the meals for the fire department. Okay? Hello, everybody. What's your specialty today?
Oh, is that Trump just showing up to Ohio and East Palestine when Joe Biden and the rest of this country left them hanging out to dry? How many Democrats did you see making the trip to Ohio? None? I don't remember seeing any, not one. How many Republicans made it out there? J.D. Vance, Donald Trump. How many American patriots like Benny Johnson were on there, boots on the ground? Benny even took 20 grand of his own hard-earned money and was handing out $1,000 checks to the people living in East Palestine, because that's the American way. We don't need these politicians to take care of us. Honestly, most of them are absolutely useless, and all they do is steal our money. So we really have no real use for them outside of military force. And what's crazy about the United States is we have the ability to sustain ourselves. We don't need oil, we don't need food, we don't need resources. Right now we're dependent on China for medicine. And if Trump was in office, how long do you think it would take the United States to be able to produce a majority of that medicine here in country? Time to start holding these politicians accountable and taking our country back from these corrupt career criminals who have done nothing but suck the life out of you, out of me, out of our children. They're selling out our children's future to China. They're trying to do everything they can to destroy Trump, but we ain't gonna let them, baby. We got this. We got this. Every day we're winning, and it may not look like it, but every day there's more of us. Every day we're waking up more and more people. And this is a great video for you to share to any one of your friends. Like if they don't like Trump, or they think Trump was a bad guy, or they were brainwashed into hating Trump, try to sit through this video. Did anybody in here not tear up at least once in this video? If you didn't, I mean, you're a bigger man than I am, but I did a couple times, probably 3 or 4 times, getting choked up just watching what a great man this guy is. It breaks your heart to see how hard the deep state has been working at brainwashing you and trying to push George Soros's brainwashing agenda, their global warming, climate change, hoax-ass, Russian collusion agenda down your throat. And we're sick of it. We got platforms like Rumble. We got Twitter getting ready to put a video platform on. We're probably going to have shorts over on Twitter in no time at all. And we're taking our country back. And if they don't like it, then get the fuck out. You know, we're sick of it. We're so sick of these career corrupt politicians dictating how you and I get to live our life. This is America. We have a constitution, and these animals need to start living by it. What do you think? Hit that like button. Let's go.
War places a heavy burden on our nation's extraordinary military families, especially spouses like Amy Williams from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and her 2 children, 6-year-old Eliana and 3-year-old Rowan. Amy works full-time and volunteers countless hours helping other military families. For the past 7 months, she has done it all while her husband, Sergeant First Class Townsend Williams, is in Afghanistan on his 4th deployment in the Middle East. Amy's kids haven't seen their father's face in many months. Amy, your family's sacrifice makes it possible for all of our families to live in safety and in peace, and we want to thank you. Thank you, Amy. But Amy, there is one more thing. Tonight we have a very special surprise. I am thrilled to inform you that your husband is back from deployment. He is here with us tonight, and we couldn't keep him waiting any longer.
You guys ready to take a trip down memory lane? Let's talk about what a great president Donald Trump was. And these are going to be the best clips of Donald Trump over the last 4, 5, 6 years that are going to break your heart. And then after we get into it a little bit, after I show you what a great, amazing man Trump was, these are all the clips that the media would want to hide from you and that they never want to see the light of day. We're going to cover these clips, and then I'm going to show you how brainwashed you were. And just a quick reminder, because they're trying to do the same thing right now with Ron DeSantis and Joe Biden. We already know that Donald Trump is the people's president. This man would sacrifice his life. He would give the shirt off his back for every one of us. And he's proven it time and time again. And now we have people at Fox News like Brian Kilmeade, yeah. Every time, man. Every time. I'm never going to get... That's literally like the 4th stream in a row. I always mute my mic. Thank you, guys. Yeah. I know. I told myself I wasn't going to do it yesterday, and I did it again. MP, what up? Ellen, what up? Elizabeth, Roy, Fallen, Gregory, M-Star, Pascal, what up? I love you and Donald Trump. He's bringing our country together, guys, and it's so nice seeing everybody waking up and realizing what a great man Trump is. You're on mute. Tori, what up? Thanks, buddy. I think I'm back on now. Every time I do it. I don't know why. But we're going to jump over to Rumble, and I don't really have a stream plan for Rumble, so we're just going to scroll around. There's a lot of good videos on exactly what's going on with Pfizer and all that nonsense that we can't talk about here on YouTube. So you guys want to join us on Rumble, the link's pinned up top. I'll start that stream in a few minutes. I'm going to hang out and chill with you guys for a minute. Charlie Brown, what up, buddy? Michelle, what's good? Good to see you. I did it again. I totally did it again. So if you guys can see your chats here. Oh yeah, that's a live chat, yeah. So sometimes your comments won't come through. I know there's like 3 or 4 people that DM me and are like, yo, man, you have me blocked. I can't see my comments. I'm like, send me a DM on Twitter if you're not seeing your comments up there, and I'll check to make sure that you didn't get blocked for some odd reason. But I don't know what it's like. YouTube, sometimes your comments just don't show up, and I don't know what the problem is. You know, Democrats switching parties. Isn't it pretty crazy? They are sick of Biden's woke liberal BS. I mean, he's taken down the whole party, and he really is. And everybody's starting to really realize what a bad president Obama was. That it wasn't just like, I mean, people thought like Obama was actually a good president, and now it's all coming to light. It's pretty crazy. No, thank you. Screw plan playbook. No, thank you. I only show, I mean, I'm here for you guys. I really am. And I think we're all in this together, and it's just so nice seeing everybody come together. Superman, good to see you, man. Keep up the good fight, brother. You got it. You know, 619, it's funny. Do you see the post going around about Biden wants to ban crypto, and everybody was telling me I'm crazy. I'm like, you guys are crazy. If you guys can't see the writing on the walls that the Democratic Party was using FTX as their money laundering crypto Ponzi scheme empire that was all by design to destroy crypto, then you just couldn't see the writing on the walls. And now it's all coming to light that the Democrats want to kill crypto, because crypto, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. You know, it's not going to be a threat to the dollar, but it is a threat to their ability to censor you, and that's where it really comes from. Angel Miss, thank you so much for subscribing on Rumble. Howdy, howdy. YouTube full swing censorship. It is. Yep, I was jacked up. I don't know about you guys. You guys watched that from the beginning? There's like 3 videos in there that made me cry. Like, just listening to him make my eyes tear up, seeing what a great man Trump was. I couldn't tell if it was the how do I say that? If it was what Trump did that made me tear up, or if it was thinking about how hard that man has worked to fight against the deep state and the media. It's like every time you hear him, like, I don't know why Trump does interviews with these woke media outlets. Like, what value do you get, Trump, from going and getting interviewed by CNN? Because their ratings suck, nobody watches them, and they're just trash, and they lead you on with questions that it doesn't matter how you answer a question. Like, Trump could save a baby from a burning house, and the Democrats would try to put up there like, oh, Donald Trump wore his shoes into a burning house. That's racist. Like, what? Donald Trump wearing his shoes into a burning house to save a baby is racist? Where'd you guys get this shit from? Like, it's it. Ohio represent, let's go. He really does love America. And I feel like that's what we just need to teach the rest of the world this, because most people are just asleep. They don't pay attention to politics. I know I was. So you don't pay attention to politics. You're in the airport. You're watching CNN. They hate Trump. You go into Best Buy. They're probably watching CNN or MSNBC. They hate Trump. You go into the bar. Most bars are probably playing a mixture of whatever. I mean, it's like, it's wokeism. The woke mind virus is attacking us from everywhere. Get a treasure wallet. Yeah, if you live in Canada, you definitely have to get your crypto off an exchange. I would get it off an exchange. I mean, I would almost get it off an exchange, and I would send it, and I would use Monero. I don't know. At some point, I would introduce Monero into a transaction. If I was just sending it from one exchange to another that wasn't in my name, I would try to get, maybe like open up a Bybit account and then somehow transfer it over there, buy Monero, send Monero out, and then take that Monero into another exchange that's not connected to your name, swap it for Bitcoin, and then send the Bitcoin to a wallet that's not connected to anything that's ever touched your name illegally. Monero is the cream of the crop for moving crypto around if you don't want to be tracked, that's for sure. Every time somebody gets busted using crypto, any one of these politicians, they start selling the shirts that say should have used Monero. Definitely. Yeah, the OG Bitcoin wallets are really good too. People would be foolish, Joel, to not vote for Trump. And that's the crazy thing about it, is that they're trying so hard to force DeSantis down our throat. I mean, it's disgusting. It just makes you really question it. Like, why would they be doing that? Why is it the entire mainstream media and every mainstream media outlet comparing what Trump did to Biden? Yep. Yeah, the jabs are. Paris, yeah, we're going to jump on that here in a minute on Rumble. I'm just chatting with you guys for a few minutes. Did you guys see Benny's live stream today? Biden's on his last leg. We can watch that. Did anybody in here not see Benny's live stream today? He's saying that I only caught a few minutes of it, so we can watch a little bit of it together before we jump over on Rumble.
by the most evil regimes, Ukraine being one of them, on planet Earth, and how much the Biden family profited off that gold, and how the entire thing is unraveling now. People are flipping inside of the Biden family. They're giving everything to the GOP, and such a great show. Stay tuned. James Comer, Republican Bulldog, joins us to tell us all about it. This is the man who's in charge of all of these investigations. But first, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of gold, what about your gold? What about your monetary value? What about the money that you earn day in and day out? Is it safe? Will it be safe when they introduce a digital dollar? You know, they're planning on doing that. Are you prepared? You need to act fast, and you need to act now to prepare. Get ready. Check it out.
No person has more inside knowledge, from what I can tell, than Eric Schwerin. He was the president of Rosemont Seneca, and he was in a very unique position because he not only was close to Hunter Biden and helping him facilitate some of the investment deals.
Yo, Tori, big shout out to Tori. More files and explosions down in Mexico today. More fires and explosions down in Mexico today. Oh, send me a link on Twitter, Tori. Thank you, homie.
In China and Ukraine and Russia, and actually helping flag for Hunter Biden taxes that Hunter Biden had failed to pay, including on the Burisma money. He also did tax work for Joe Biden. He's helping the White House in 2010 get Joe Biden's taxes and affairs into shape. And then when they're done, and Joe Biden finds out he's got a tax return, he's got some money coming back from the state of Delaware, Eric Schwerin says, hey, your dad owes you some money. I'm going to transfer his Delaware tax refund into your account, Hunter Biden. Later on that year in 2010, Joe Biden's only 18 months into the vice president. Eric Schwerin writes, hey, I just talked to your dad, i.e. the vice president, the future president. He's interested in exploring his earnings potential. We should have a conversation about that. All the way throughout the 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, Eric Schwerin is there when Hunter Biden is pursuing deals with Burisma, with the CEFC China energy firm. Eric Schwerin has more intersections to the issues that the American public now want answers from than any other character I've come again. Now,
dude, if you want to go after a mafia boss, you got to go after the money man. You don't go after their soldiers, like the dummies who are with the shovels and the Cadillacs out in the woods of New Jersey. You go after the money men. You go after the accountants. You follow the money. And that's what the GOP are doing. And once again, James Comer will be joining us very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen, to talk all about this. So what do we know now? Hunter's top financial lieutenant, Eric Schwerin, is expected to provide documents to the House Oversight Committee investigation of the Biden crime family for 9 violations, including money laundering, wire fraud, a spokesperson for the committee told Breitbart News. Schwerin, who shared bank accounts with Joe Biden, is dubbed the family's money man. He also maintained guest lists for White House functions. This guy knows everything. Everything. Schwerin also helped set up Joe Biden and Hunter Biden with the associates in Russia, Ukraine, China, Romania. Many of those deals yielded the Biden family business millions of dollars. This is the man who knows where all of the bodies are buried. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, this investigation into Joe Biden is going to track beautifully along the bank account lines. And we've been trying to tell you this for a while, and we're going to jump into what Privat Bank, why the Treasury is trying to stonewall here. This is the Republican Party doing exactly why we put them in power. This is them doing exactly the reason we put them in power. This is why. When you vote, and when you have activism, and when you have force, and when you have power, you use it. Like James Comer does. Watch.
As such, this investigation will be a top priority. We are releasing a report today that details what we have uncovered. We are also sending letters to the Biden administration officials and Biden family associates renewing our request for voluntary production of documents relevant to this investigation. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, the President of the United States, and why he lied to the American people about his knowledge and participation in his family's international business schemes. National security interests require the committee conduct investigation, and we will pursue all avenues that have long been ignored. Committee Republicans have uncovered evidence of federal crimes committed by and to the benefit of members of the president's family. These include conspiracy or defrauding the United States, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, tax evasion, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit money laundering.
Okay, conspiracy to commit money laundering, tax evasion, wire fraud, Eric Schwerin cooperating. All of these are financial crimes, right? Eric Schwerin cooperating is the smoking gun we've been looking for. And more importantly, what happens when you get the Bidens is the entire rotted edifice begins to crumble. The rats begin to turn on each other. You saw this with James Comey, not James Comer, who will be joining us in a second, that man on screen, but James Comey. You saw it with the FBI. You saw it with the implosion of the deep state at the FBI under Donald Trump, and they all start turning on each other because they are rats, and a rat will eat another rat if it's hungry enough. This is why you have to look over to the Senate and see what Chuck Grassley is doing, saying that the FBI is actively working to try and hide Biden crimes. Man, this is going to be such a bombshell 2 years. I'm so ready for it. Watch.
Other whistleblower disclosures to my office make clear that the FBI has within its possession very significant, impactful, and voluminous evidence with respect to potential criminal conduct by Hunter and James Biden. These disclosures also allege that Joe Biden was aware of Hunter Biden's business arrangements and may have been involved in some of them. We still aren't sure what's been done with this information. The FBI's track record doesn't create much faith that the information is going to be followed up on.
Chuck Grassley is an old bull. He doesn't move unless he wants to move. Chuck Grassley is one of the oldest bulls in the Senate. I know Chuck Grassley personally. Chuck Grassley would not be doing this unless he was absolutely sure. He has the best oversight staff and the best lawyers in Congress. Chuck Grassley saying whistleblowers from the FBI make it clear that they are in possession of significant, impactful, and voluminous evidence against the Biden crime family. It's so voluminous that CNN was even moved to do a 7-minute series on how corrupt the Bidens are. Ladies and gentlemen, do you see what is happening here? They are finally ready to unleash the dogs on Joe Biden. And it's going to be bloody. When CNN is doing segments like this, you know the house is on fire. Watch.
Despite his denials, a CNN review of the laptop data as well as other public material shows that Joe Biden did interact with some of his son's associates while serving as vice president, though it's unclear exactly what was discussed. One example, the Republican cite Miguel Alemán Magnani, a Mexican businessman and son of the former president who Hunter was trying to woo. In 2014, Alemán Magnani and his dad were photographed at the White House with then Vice President Biden. In a later email, Hunter Biden reminds Alemán Magnani of the favors he's done for him. We have been talking about business deals and partnerships for 7 years. I have brought every single person you have ever asked me to bring to the effing White House and the Vice President's house and the inauguration. Hunter Biden bluntly acknowledged the power of the Biden name in a memoir, writing that the Ukrainian energy company Burisma, which put him on its board, considered my last name gold.
I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life that if my last name wasn't Biden.
Okay, so Hunter Biden writing that the Ukrainians considered his last name gold. So maybe this adds a different layer of complexity to what we're doing in Ukraine. And as we have illuminated on this show, but we will do so and truncate it very, very quickly here. Why are the bank account records so important in this investigation? You have to understand the timeline and how this all worked. And we've cracked this nut. We know exactly what's happening. We're going to introduce you to a single name, Kolomoisky, and we'll put his face and his business up on screen right now. Kolomoisky, his first name Igor Kolomoisky, is a Ukrainian oligarch who essentially owned a controlling interest in Burisma. He also owned a bank called Privat Bank. This man is directly responsible for Joe Biden firing that prosecutor. Let me explain to you how, and let me explain to you why these bank records are so important. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. You're going to want to know this. Kolomoisky is a billionaire. He is a man who essentially operated all business in Ukraine. It was almost impossible, quote unquote, to operate business in Ukraine's environment without Kolomoisky. So how did the Bidens get access to this man, and how did Hunter Biden get so much money from him? Here are the connections between the Biden family and this corrupt oligarch. Kolomoisky had controlling interest in Burisma, the New York Post reported. Burisma employed Hunter Biden as a board member. Emails from 2015 published that year by the New York Post show that Kolomoisky, his number 2 in command, communicated with Hunter Biden to set up a meeting with Joe Biden, then vice president under Barack Obama. Court filings from 2019 in a private investigatory firm allege that Kolomoisky paid the Bidens directly from Privat Bank, the bank that he owned. A U.S. Justice Department civil forfeiture complaint in December said that there was embezzlements happening in the tune of billions of dollars from that bank. Was that money flowing into the Biden coffers? Well, right now, the State Department is blocking the Republicans. The Treasury Department is blocking Republicans from knowing where that money came from. Republicans want those bank accounts. They want those suspicious activity reports, and they want them now. Because what you're going to see here in a timeline is shocking, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. It's all going to make sense here. State Department emails from 2015, this is Obama-era emails, say that Hunter Biden was an employee of Burisma Holdings, the Obama Department of State, saying that Hunter Biden is essentially a Ukrainian agent. These emails were obtained by the Senate Committee of Homeland Security last year. Separate emails published by the New York Post indicate that Hunter Biden introduced Burisma's number 3 official to Joe Biden. Dear Hunter, I'm reading you the email right now. Thank you for inviting me to D.C. and giving me an opportunity to meet your father. It was an honor and a pleasure. Soon after that meeting, Joe Biden called to demand that the investigation into Burisma
Sound like all of a
and the
sudden, my
investigator
God,
in
it
Ukraine,
went to
the now famous phone
8.2%.
call,
Not a joke.
get
Come on, man.
fired. Joe Biden leveraged $1 billion in U.S. assets in order to get his son's corrupt business deal done. That's exactly what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Well, how do we know this? Well, we actually literally have the private recording that was released, Joe Biden asking for that to be done. Here's Joe Biden talking with then Ukrainian President Poroshenko. Go.
Let me ask you one thing before I forget. Privat Bank. I understand the governor of the bank is tentative about setting a date certain for the transition to take place, and I'm being told secondhand that, I don't know this is her position for sure, that she is unsure of a date until she gets an agreement from you. Here's what I've told them. I've told them to get back to her and set a date, and I would talk to you about the date. Because this is getting very, very close. What I don't want to have happen, I don't want Trump to get in a position where he thinks he's about to buy onto a policy where the financial system is going to collapse and he's going to be looked to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it before he gets sophisticated enough to know the detail. So anything you can do to push the Privat Bank to closure so that the IMF loan comes forward, I would respectfully suggest is critically important to your economic as well as physical security. I know it.
So, wait a second. Taking over this bank.
What?
That was in charge of the payments to the Biden family. That's what Joe Biden's talking about there on that secretly recorded phone call. That has been verified as fully authentic. So funny how Joe Biden can speak English when it has to do with multi-millions of dollars flowing into his bank accounts through dirty deals. Isn't it amazing? Joe Biden could speak English a couple years ago. So that's Joe Biden speaking, talking about Kolomoisky, talking about Privat Bank, discussing the takeover, the government takeover of that bank, and essentially the closure of those records, trying to shore up loose ends so that, and you can hear it right there on the call. You probably never heard that audio, have you? You can hear it right there on the call. He's talking about how bad it would be if Donald Trump was able to get a hold of those records. Maybe that's why, through his own hubris, which will be the downfall of all of these people, Joe Biden went right out on stage and bragged about getting the prosecutor fired, who was investigating that bank, its transactions, Burisma, his son. You've all seen the clip, but hopefully it makes a little more sense now as to why these financial records and why Eric Schwerin is so important. Because this is the nexus. This is the nut to crack inside of the Biden crime family. Remember this clip.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to the press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And
Well, son of a bitch, he got fired. Ladies and gentlemen, that's just in a nutshell, but that's the timeline. Hunter Biden gets paid through corrupt Ukrainian oligarch Kolomoisky, through his Privat bank. The agents of Kolomoisky come to D.C. to meet with Joe Biden. Soon after that, they tell Joe Biden that they need this prosecutor fired. Soon after that, Joe Biden leverages American funds in order to get this man fired. Even though the president, at the time, Poroshenko, is like, we have no reason to fire this guy. He's very popular. We like him. And then Joe Biden goes out and brags about it. This was all a corrupt act in order to protect this Ukrainian oligarch, and that's why they're hiding the financial records. That's why they're hiding the records that point directly to Privat Bank and the funding and the timeline of that funding for Joe Biden to do political favors.
And what's even more crazy is they got more evidence than that too, guys. Like, they don't just have just those bank records, and they don't just have that. They have Michael Bobulinski. So if you guys don't know who Bobulinski is, Bobulinski was actually made like a business partner in these dealings because he had connections to a few people. They thought he was going to be on the take. They thought because the money was going to be so lucrative that he was going to work the business dealings with them. So they have an eyewitness who was actually a partner and actually got paid, or the deal ended up falling through because they could tell that this guy wasn't buying into it, or maybe it was too far down the line. I don't know. It's all on Biden Inc. over on Fox News. If you guys haven't seen Biden Inc. on Fox Nation, it's worth buying it. And thank you, D-Gen, so much for that. We'll watch a little bit more of this, and then, Comey's coming on right now after this, so we'll watch that, and then we're going to jump over to Rumble. And thank you, D-Gen. Big shout out to D-Gen. I appreciate you guys. Everybody for the super chats, thank you so much. Quid pro Joe.
For his son, for his corrupt son, ladies and gentlemen. So Joe Biden has been on the record lying about this from day one. We'll play you this clip, and then we'll do an interview with James Comer about this very issue, but there is no better clip to play than this clip of Joe Biden looking Peter Doocy right in the face, right down the barrel of the camera, saying, I've never had any connection with my son's business dealings. Oh, it's picture perfect, this one. Watch.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
And so how do you know?
Here's what I know. I know Trump deserves to be investigated. He is violating every basic norm of a president. You should be asking him the question, why is he on the phone with a foreign leader, trying to intimidate a foreign leader, if that's what happened? That appears what happened. You should be looking at Trump. Trump's doing this because he knows I'll beat him like a drum. And he's using the abuse of power and every element of the presidency to try to do something to smear me.
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that? I mean, that needs to go. That should have won a Pulitzer there, Peter Doocy. Isn't it perfect? The iron law is to accuse them of what you are doing. We literally just played you the phone call of Joe Biden doing exactly that, calling a Ukrainian leader, getting a prosecutor fired in order for his family to engage in corrupt business dealings. And as soon as he's asked about that, he lies and then accuses Donald Trump of doing the same thing. We need strong men in Congress in order to break up this corruption. And man, one of the strongest we've ever met joins us now. James Comer, ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for being on the program. Deeply appreciate it and deeply appreciate your work. We want to jump in here, and we've obviously been talking through with the audience why Eric Schwerin communicating with you in your committee is so incredibly important. Perhaps you can underlie for us and undergird for us how big of a flip this is for the Biden crime family.
Well, this is enormous because if you'll remember the emails, the one that stands out in my mind is where Sherwin emails Hunter Biden and says, your dad's Delaware tax refund is coming in the mail. I'm going to deposit it into his account and then turn around and write a check from him to you for some of the money that he owes you. That shows several things. It shows that Sherwin was handling Joe Biden's finances, and this is at a time when Joe Biden was vice president of the United States. So he's writing checks, transferring money back and forth between Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. This is very important because one question we have is, were these accounts commingled? I think I know the answer to that, but we're going to make sure that we can provide 100% evidence on everything that we say, because this is a very serious investigation, as you know. And also, it's going to kind of get a picture of how the Biden family, how their business schemes worked. How did they work together? Because at the end of the day, this is an investigation of Joe Biden, and Sherwin is the one guy that we know without a shadow of a doubt was in charge of bank accounts for both Joe Biden and Hunter Biden.
So what will be the line of questioning?
Well, it's just basically we're going to give him an opportunity to tell us kind of how this thing was set up. There are 13 different accounts that we know of. And every one of those accounts had bank violations. So that's another request that we should be getting in very soon, hopefully, through the private banks, not through the Treasury Department, unfortunately. But we want to kind of trace the money. And that's what this is all about. We know the Bidens got enormous sums of money from our adversaries in China, Russia, and Ukraine. We need to know the specific place where these transfers started and for what purpose. Why did Hunter Biden receive millions of dollars from China, from a company, CEFC, that was connected to the Chinese Communist Party? What exactly was he doing in return for that? Because I don't think China would give money to Hunter Biden or donate significant sums to the University of Pennsylvania or the University of Delaware for Joe Biden if they weren't getting something in return.
Yes. Yes. So Hunter Biden isn't giving you anything in return. Hunter Biden is stonewalling your committee. What tactics will you take in order to get a canary to sing?
Well, they're treading a thin line here. Their lawyers are reaching out to people, trying, in my opinion, to intimidate witnesses. We're moving forward. We've been very transparent. I don't think there's anyone in the media who's really sincerely keeping up with this, who doesn't know where we're going and what we're requesting. I mean, we want to follow the money. We know different areas where the Bidens receive significant sums of money coming out of China, Russia, and Ukraine. We want to know the purpose of that money. What were they doing for that money? The Democrats love to throw in Jared Kushner, and they always say, well, what are you doing about investigating Kushner? Here's what I know about Kushner. Two things. Number one, he has sat down for many, many interviews. He has sat down. He has already been interviewed on all this stuff. And number two, I know what Kushner's businesses are. He owns real estate. He's like the Trump family, got a very diversified portfolio of real estate, lots of employees. What's the Biden business? They don't own anything. They don't sell anything. They don't manufacture anything. They're not licensed to be lobbyists or foreign agents. So what exactly is the Biden family business? They've received millions and millions of dollars. What did they do in return for that money? I mean, this isn't a complicated investigation, but the areas that are complicated is the fact that there are so many different bank accounts at so many different banks with so many different partners. It was always like they tried to bring somebody in the beginning to share the blame in case or to take the fall. So what we're doing is bringing in all these people that at various different times were involved as partners with the Bidens. And don't forget, it's not just Hunter Biden. it's also Jim Biden. And ironically, with Jim Biden, he has a lot of pending lawsuits to where his partners have filed suit against him for fraud and for various different things. So, this family has a history of influence peddling, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
So what I think a lot of the viewers want to know is, what are the intersections of Joe Biden with this? Everyone is sort of like looks at Hunter Biden as the crackhead who was kicked out of the Navy and who clearly has a duplicitous record, is a truly dirty, dirty man, and obviously a total scumbag. And so it would just be, going after a total scumbag, that's fine. He probably does belong in jail, but what about Joe, right? And that's what a lot of people are going to ask. That's a lot of the questions that people are going to ask.
And that's why we're investigating. We're not investigating Hunter Biden. We're investigating Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen the emails with the CEFC where Hunter Biden said 10% for the big guy. We've had two people that have come in and talked to us while we were in the minority that were involved in various different Biden business schemes that said, in fact, Joe Biden was the big guy. Now let's think about this deal where Joe Biden was supposedly the big guy. There's evidence where Hunter Biden was trying to get keys made for that House of Sweden office complex for Joe Biden, because he was going to be, and Jill Biden, ironically, and Jim Biden. So 3 keys for Joe Biden, Jill Biden, and Jim Biden, who were going to be, a part of this Chinese energy deal. And what they were trying to do is not just buy liquefied natural gas from the United States. They were trying to actually buy ownership into the drillers so that China could start buying into the infrastructure of our American energy company. There are supposed to be so many roadblocks in our federal government to prevent China from doing this. Remember, people are outraged that China flew a balloon over the United States, balloon over one of my military bases, Fort Campbell in Kentucky. They're outraged that they're buying farmland. Well, just think about this. The Bidens were trying to help China buy ownership into the infrastructure of our American energy industry. That's a far greater risk to our national security than buying farmland in the Dakotas or flying the balloon over the military bases, because they probably got satellites that can do a better job than the balloon did. So the Bidens have been involved with helping this Chinese energy company do things that the federal government's supposed to have roadblocks and barriers to prevent from doing. And now this company, where is this company now? At least one of their executives was indicted, Patrick Ho, in the United States for bribery in Africa. We believe the Chinese Communist Party has detained 1 or 2 of the other partners. And now the Chinese Communist Party owns this business, CEFC, that the Bidens were involved in, that Joe Biden was supposed to be the big guy and have 10%.
It boggles the mind, because what Joe Biden is, in effect, is everything that they claimed Donald Trump was.
That's
and
exactly.
The corruptions and the angles and the allegations are everything that they accused Donald Trump of being, and he never was. And so after years of investigation, they weren't able to turn up even a unpaid parking ticket for Donald Trump. And here we go with this on its face. We would like to bring you back. We have one clip to play of your press conference, which happened the day after the GOP took the majority in the House, and you came out with a barn burner. But there is part of that barn burner that we've always been curious about. We'll play the clip now. It has to do with sex trafficking.
The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality, from human trafficking to potential violations of the Constitution. In the 118th Congress, this committee will evaluate the status of Joe Biden's relationship with his family's foreign partners and whether he is a president who is compromised or swayed by foreign dollars and influence. I want to be clear. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, and that's where the committee will focus in this next Congress.
Human trafficking. Please expound.
Yeah. The reason I mentioned that is because I wanted the FBI, the Department of Justice, and the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, who's supposedly investigating Hunter Biden, I wanted them to know that I know about all that, because at the time reports were coming out that he was about to be indicted, Hunter Biden was about to be indicted for tax evasion, which we all know about, and then lying on a gun application. Well, if you're going to indict Hunter Biden, indict him for all the things that he can be indicted over. And one of the things that he has problems with these bank violations. Now, remember, I have some of the bank violations. We're just trying to get all the bank violations, and the bank violations that I have in possession were turned over by various different people. If you get a suspicious activity report, you may be named in a suspicious activity report because someone else got a suspicious activity report. The entity that Hunter Biden was doing business with for prostitutes, supposedly, was being investigated for human trafficking. They were getting bank violations, much like the what's the guy that committed suicide?
Epstein.
That had Prince Andrew and all those guys. What's his name?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Epstein. It was something. It's coming out now with some of these lawsuits that Epstein got a lot of these suspicious activity reports because he was being suspected of human trafficking as well, being suspected of doing escort services and things like that. So there was an escort service, I believe, in Florida that Hunter Biden was doing a lot of business with. He was actually transferring money, it looks like, from his law firm account. He has a law firm of one of himself to this escort service. And according to the suspicious activity report, they were being investigated for having an escort service, which is illegal in Florida, and for human trafficking. So he had several violations for that. And one of the text messages that Hunter's communicating with another one of his former associates was asking him how to make certain transactions without getting zinged for the suspicious activity reports. I believe that what he was talking about was doing business with this escort service in Florida. So that's not a part of my investigation, but I just wanted the Department of Justice to know, we know all about Hunter Biden, and that's your job. That's the Department of Justice's job. If they're going to have equal justice, if they're not going to do like we suspect, have a two-tier system of justice, I wanted them to know that we know that. But remember, at that press conference, right after that, I pivoted back and said, but this is an investigation of Joe Biden. And my fear was they were going to indict Hunter Biden and say, well, he's under investigation by the DOJ, so you can't have access to any of the information on Hunter Biden because we're investigating him for lying on a gun application. I mean, give me a break. If you're going to indict him for all the things that any other American would have already been indicted for.
Congressman, you've been very, very generous with your time. Those are shocking revelations, by the way, that the Epstein connection. Of course there's going to.
Well, there's no Epstein connection with Hunter, but it just looks like the similar kind of thing.
It's a similar kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, but of course, it always comes, the rat's nest is so intermingled. It's sickening. We did have a final question for you, and it is pursuant our relationship with Don Jr. and Eric Trump, and those two had to go in. They got dragged in before committee after committee after committee. Adam Schiff, January 6th. Steve Bannon has criminal referrals for refusing to testify before or cooperate with a committee. Everyone wants to see asses in seats and sweating under the lights, and the American people to actually watch the members of this crime family get grilled. Will that happen over the course of the next 2 years? Will you be using January 6th committee tactics? I suppose I kind of a dirty word, but like they want to throw Steve Bannon in jail for not cooperating, right? And they're this close to doing it. So I mean, are you going to be using those type of hardline tactics to get asses in seats, to get questions in front of the American people?
Yes, the January 6th committee set a lot of new precedents for congressional investigation. They filmed deposition. They moved for Congress to hold people in contempt of Congress. So these are tools in the toolbox that I will use in this investigation. I assume Jim Jordan will use in his investigation of the Department of Justice in their question or not, whether they've been weaponized and politicized. So we will use that. But what we are getting right now is cooperation from private individuals who did business with the Bidens. These people are starting to come in. I've got another person coming in next week that was a central figure in this Biden family influence peddling, a very central figure who's willingly, voluntarily coming in to talk to me and my staff. So we're making progress. I'll get those bank records, even though the Treasury Department, the Biden administration has blocked us at every turn. We planned on this happening. I just mainly want the media to see that they're blocking the chairman of the House Oversight Committee from getting bank violations, which every other administration in the last 2 decades has allowed the chairman of the House Oversight Committee to have access to. But for whatever reason, Joe Biden's blocking that access. So we're just giving them rope and letting them hang themselves. Remember, after that press conference that you showed the clip of earlier, that was in November, a lot of the media, including the Associated Press and Bloomberg, said that the laptop was Russian disinformation. That was just a few months ago. Now we know, we had the first Twitter hearing, if for no other reason to prove that the laptop was not Russian disinformation. The Twitter executives who made the decision to ban the New York Post story about the laptop all said that was a mistake, and they knew that the laptop was real. So that was a very important first hearing for us, because so much of the evidence against Joe Biden is located on the hard drive of the laptop. So we're making progress. When we get these people coming in, we're going to start doing interviews. We're going to start doing depositions. We'll get these bank records. We're going to start tracing the money. And then hopefully very soon we'll be ready to start having hearings that I think every American will find very interesting.
Congressman, I wish you could see what we can see in the studio. We have the chat box up with all the chats from all of the concurrent social media. The viewership is shooting through the roof. Everyone is praising you and saying, what a great, well, how great is it to have someone with some iron in their spine and some gunpowder in their gut actually in Congress doing something for us. Everyone is melting down, saying how much they appreciate you. What is the best way for our audience to help you out, sir, in your investigations?
Just keep us informed on what's going on. They're firing on me, the White House, every day. They've got a special team now led by a little guy named Ian Sams, who has a press conference every day, attacks me, attacks my credibility. But he's not attacked anything that I've said as being not factual. They tried to play the Russian disinformation card back in November. Then in January, they've tried to play Hunter was a drug addict. They're just picking on him because he had an addiction problem. Now they're going full scale on the offensive. They're attacking anyone that we're going to bring in. They're threatening anyone that we've requested information for. So this is a full on war against the White House just to get the facts, And remember, the Trump people went and they came forward. They answered all the questions. They were interviews. They were deposed, the majority of them. And what we got is this president who told the American people that he had no knowledge of his son's shady business dealings and he wasn't involved in anything. Look, this president's been involved in a lot. This whole thing in Ukraine this week made me sick at my stomach because this Burisma deal stinks to high heaven. And I believe the real quid pro quo with Ukraine was with Joe Biden firing that prosecutor who was investigating Burisma and the corrupt energy company. So this investigation is not going to go away for the Bidens. I think they realize that, and that's why they've changed strategy, and they're firing on us at every turn. Just keep us posted. Hopefully people in America are talking about this, and if there are people that they interact with at work, they'll tell them, look, this is legitimate. This needs to be investigated, and hopefully the White House will finally work with us and give us answers to questions that we all have.
Christ says the truth shall set you free. It is important to have truth. So everyone, ladies and gentlemen, pray for our Bulldog investigators, James Comer and Jim Jordan. Follow them on their social media, amplify their messages, and make sure that we got their backs because they got ours in common.
Couldn't agree with Ben even more. And this is why I say it's so important, guys. Like, this clip button that they just added here to YouTube is worth its weight in gold. So you can come over here and whatever section you want, and you can hit that clip button. And then up here in the right-hand side, right? So you can actually put in the exact timestamps that you want. So if you want to cut out that and you want to post it on your channel, you add the description, and it's actually going to, like, oh, you know, James Comer, Benny Johnson's show. James Comer exposes the truth about Hunter Biden. that's going to repost that on your channel as a video that's directly linked to his channel. So anytime you guys are watching videos like this, my videos, Benny's videos, any videos, especially like those clips of Trump that I had in here, you know, you got this makes such a bigger impact because we're up against the deep state. And I keep trying to stress that they have every major mainstream media outlet, and then they also pay influencers. Like if you go over and watch the Young Turks channel, like the deep state is not just relying on, you know, on the mainstream media. They have infiltrated YouTubers, and that's their new play because they see how much power these influencers have. So they're now, if any one of these influencers that you see making anti-Trump content, pro-DeSantis content, anti-Trump content, pro-Democrat, pro-Biden, you can most likely assume that the World Economic Forum has infiltrated that influencers network, and they'll destroy their channels too. I mean, I was doing it with the PR firms back in the day. Hey, Andrea, thank you so much. Happy Friday, everybody. I must say, F Joe Biden times 10,000. Let's go, guys. Thank you so much. Tori, thank you so much for the super chats earlier. I appreciate each and every one of you big time. So we're going to go over to Rumble here in a second. I got the link pinned up top. If you guys haven't seen the new, like the latest stuff that's coming out on Pfizer, and you guys want to see how, I mean, these people are in big trouble. And it's multiple different countries now that are actually going after these guys. So it's the U.S. that's still being bought out by these I don't know what you want to call them, big pharma. You know, they own our politicians. These lobbyists, they own these politicians. That's why we've seen during the FBI corruption Senate hearings, they put a Pfizer lobbyist and a Google lobbyist on stand to testify in front of the American people and tell you guys about how corrupt the FBI is. Like, it didn't even make sense. So some of these House oversight committees, I can't tell what's what, but yeah, they all need to be thrown in jail, Donna. So yeah. Bro, long time no see. Amazing, brother. Love from Amsterdam. Good to see you. Thank you. Pickle Rick, what's up, buddy? Yeah, we're going to go over to Rumble here in 2 seconds. I just want to sit here and chat with everybody for a second. I like to hear myself talk sometimes. I don't know what else. I don't say much of any value, but sometimes I feel like I just need to hear myself talk. Love, peace, joy. Good to see you. U.S. Trump 2023. We need to make it happen. They own all the mainstream media. Oh, that's where I was going. Yeah, I knew I had a point to make there. So like, we're up against the deep state. We're up against every mainstream media outlet. We're up against the deep state that they've infiltrated all these other YouTube channels and all these other high profile influencers. So we have to be better than them at their own game. And what did they do? Anytime Trump put out a video, they had the entire network of deep state people just flooding the network. So if you like search like Trump's random act of kindness, check this out. Check this one out. This will really make your blood boil. You type in Trump random acts of kindness, right? You're getting fact checked by YouTube about Trump random acts of kindness. How disgusting is that? 666 viewers. Let's go. That's awesome. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Like, this is how corrupt the system is and how rotten it is. And then if you go to snoops.com, I would almost bet that snoops.com is a fact-checking organization that's getting funded with your tax dollars. And that's, I can't say that that's factual or proof or any proof of that. But if you're not following Mike Benz on Twitter, he worked at the State Department. And I'm trying to get interviews with him in person, but he's got a lot going on right now. But he used to work at the State Department. So his Twitter is at Mike Benz Cyber. And if you really want to know how corrupt the deep state is in, as far as like censorship and everything that they're doing to censor Americans, swing over and check out. He runs Foundation for FreedomOnline.com. And this dude has a mountain, like a treasure trove of evidence. And if there's ever anybody that, like if Trump were to get back into office and he were to assign somebody to basically dismantle the deep state, as far as censorship goes, it's going to be Mike Benz. He knows more about it. He knows about every organization, how oversight committee should be subpoenaing all government communications between CISA, DHS censorship agency. So CISA, I think, actually was created by Trump, and it was supposed to be this, you know, government organization that wasn't supposed to be corrupt, that was supposed to work on censorship and election integrity and all these other things. And then once DHS got control of it, it became DHS's censorship agency, and how they worked with like disinformation and universities and think tanks. So they're not just funding random organizations. These are unelected bureaucrats that get put into positions by the corrupt politicians, and then they use these agencies as like a I don't know, like an armor or like a shield to protect them. And then they use these companies to attack, and then they get funded by the government with your tax dollars. And it's like ways for the government to just basically work around the Constitution. They create these unelected government bodies, whether it's the SEC, the CTFC, all these regulators that we're supposed to bow down to, like Gary Gensler, that are just rotten to the core. So let's swing over to Rumble, and let's get this party started, guys. I don't want to have to watch what I say, so I want to jump over to Rumble and let you guys know how I really feel. These Pfizer videos, we played a couple of them last week, so if you guys already seen them, you might have seen a couple of these, but we're going to jump over there, and I'll be over on Rumble in about 2 minutes. The link's pinned up at the very top of the channel. If you guys want to come join us, I'd love to have you over there. Let me grab you a link again. When is Tucker gonna, I think it's soon. We're already seeing videos getting linked all over on YouTube. We can definitely, yeah, why DeSantis accepted big pharma donations. Perfect. Yep, that's exactly what it is. I keep trying to tell everybody, Joanne, they're doing that with DeSantis. DeSantis is the deep state. He's endorsed by George Soros, and everything that they tell you about DeSantis is just trying to divide us. And then everybody needs to come together. And I don't mind if DeSantis wants to run in 2028. By all means, let him. But this is Trump's year. We all just need to stand at. There's no point in arguing with these people, because the evidence is going to come out, and you guys are going to see what a bad guy DeSantis really is. So there's no need to argue with anybody. Let's get all the receipts out there. I'm flying down to Florida in a couple weeks to film some interviews with the people that actually have the receipts, and we're going to go over everything and make a couple of documentaries out of it. And you're going to see all the stuff that DeSantis claims that he supports, but then people are getting attacked that live in his own state, and he's not coming to defend those people, but yet he's claiming to fight for the same thing, but he's not willing to fight for the people in his own state. It just doesn't make sense. And if Trump doesn't get back in office, if DeSantis gets in office, these people aren't going to be held accountable. He's not holding Pfizer accountable. He's not holding any of these people accountable. It's disgusting. We all know what's going on with, that whole ordeal. We'll just go over to Rumble. I'll shut up. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for the donations. Everybody who hit those like buttons and all the comments. And thank you guys for so much for showing up every day. You guys make me more excited to put out more content like this every day. So I couldn't do it without your support, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, I'll be at CPAC March 1st to March 4th. So if anybody's coming down to CPAC, I'd love to grab a beer with you. I'm going to be shooting a music video. At least one night, we're going to be shooting a music video. We're going to be doing a big thing for all the J6 political prisoners out there. So if you guys want to come and support these political prisoners being held hostage by our rotten to the core corrupt government, you should join us and show all your support. If anybody has any contact, I'm trying to get a hold of Ashley Babbitt's mom while I'm out there. I would love to do an interview with Ashley Babbitt as well, or her parents, I mean. So if anybody's close with their parents or wants to push me into contact, I don't know if it's rude to reach out and ask her. I don't know if she's comfortable and she wants to talk about what happened. But now that all the light's out here and all the evidence is out, I would love to show as much support for her, because her daughter was murdered in cold blood. And then the cop was given a Medal of Honor. Could you imagine if that was your kids? James O'Keefe, same thing, Jack. So let me show you this. Let me show you this real quick before we go. That's how the deep state's working. So Ron DeSantis' PAC paid the Babylon Bee $21,500 to make anti-Trump propaganda. Then after that evidence came out, it was like 3 days later, DeSantis got on TV and was trying to tell everybody that he's worried about fighting Joe Biden, not making other Republicans look bad. And that was literally 3 days after the evidence came out that his PAC paid the Babylon Bee $21,500 to make anti-Trump propaganda. And gosh damn it, I forgot where I was going with that one. Oh, Project Veritas, yeah.
Legal Defense Fund. Congratulate Project Veritas on their big win on the New York Times. Now the suit will continue, and whatever you can do for their Legal Defense Fund, we're with them all the way. They do incredible work. They find things that nobody would even believe possible. So James, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was one. 1 second. I gotta figure out this. I gotta find the other one. Oh, it got deleted. No way. Okay, here it is. Here it is. I found it. So this guy right here, right? This guy is the guy who was in charge, or one of these guys was the guys in charge of staging the coup against James O'Keefe, right? Why? Because James O'Keefe is pro-Trump. They know it, and they know that most likely Project Veritas has dirt on the DeSantis campaign. So to make sure that dirt never came to light, they tried to pretty much wipe James off the face of the earth. That's what I think. So listen to this. You guys tell me what you think.
Multiple things can be true at the same time. As I said a few weeks ago when John and I were here, if he won, he would enter the White House as the weakest president in history because he'd be lame duck day one. Donald Trump is flailing around, making attacks on Elaine Chao, Mitch McConnell's wife. I'm all about attacking Elaine Chao. She sucks. Her father was a CCP apparatchik by way of Taiwan. But you know what? She was in his cabinet. He hired her. This is total clown behavior. I do not think in another year from now, another 6 months from now, he will be relevant to the political discussion even a little as Ron DeSantis surges.
Yeah, I just got to say, Matt just doesn't wear it on his sleeve. He doesn't tell you how he feels.
Subtle.
Look, I was a vehement Trump supporter, and I'm leaning. My issues are pretty simple. I put it on Twitter today. I've got 3 fundamental issues. I don't think he can win a general election. I travel around the country. Independents, non-party affiliateds, and suburban women have run away from Trump. They're not coming back. He'll be 80 years old by the time he takes office. He's still making the same personnel mistakes, and you're not going to change him at this point.
That wasn't even the good one I want to find for you guys. Somehow they got it wiped off the internet. I want to find the other one for you, but it looks like they took it off. Yeah, they did. How did they get that? There was a better one about them, but you guys get where I'm going with that. If you just search Laura Loomer, Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, you'll find the video I'm talking about. But yeah. It's disgusting. All they want to do is just pit us against each other. And they want to spread lies and try to make you think that, suburban women left Trump. I've met more women that are in love with Trump in the last 6 months than I've met my entire life. Ain't nobody gonna vote for fucking DeSantis. Yeah, Florida will. They all will. And what's crazy is DeSantis is trying to change the laws right now in Florida so he doesn't have to resign as governor if he runs. Because if he has to resign as governor, his career's over. He'll be a washed up governor that tried to run against, Trump, who's just fighting for us. Trump's done everything right. He's fought for this country. He was right about everything. You don't like mean tweets? Sucks to suck. Kick fucking rocks, in my opinion, That's how I feel about it. God willing, guys. All right, let's jump over to Rumble. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys over on Rumble. It's going to take me about 2 minutes to get the stream set up, but I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I'll see you guys over there in a minute. Love y'all. It's the era of Trump. It's Trump's turn. Should have been in office right now. Could you imagine how much more money you'd have in your bank account if Trump was president? Could you imagine what your 401k would look like if you were president? The suburban women love Trump. Love, peace, joy. Let's go. Let's go. Trump 2024, baby. Trump 2023 if we can. Boom. Let's go, Rick. Love you.